Have you ever wondered, is diving safe or deadly? Headbutt of the 11-foot shark. The 160-foot abyss panic, echoes of the unseen deep, 3 true horror stories waiting in the dark. First, a dive turns into a fight for survival. Tim had been diving for years, but he wasn't one of those fearless, grizzled ocean vets who'd wrestle a squid barehanded. No, Tim was the guy who'd triple-check his gear, especially his contact lenses. See? He was half blind without them. 20/20 underwater turned to a blurry soup if they got knocked out. So, water in his dive mask? Absolute nightmare. He'd rather swim through a jellyfish swarm than risk popping a lens and floundering around like a lost seal pup. That's why his mask was his lifeline, strapped tight, checked twice before every dive. Losing it wasn't an option. It was a sunny afternoon off the coast, the kind where the water is so clear you can see the reef shimmering 30 feet down. Tim and his crew, 5 of them, all old friends, were bobbing along in their boat, swapping stories between dives. The vibe was light, easy, until Jake, the loudmouth of the group, started recounting his latest brush with disaster. "Swear to God," Jake said, leaning back with a grin, "this shark comes out of nowhere. Bam! Slams me from behind. Rips my mask clean off my face. I'm thrashing around blind as a bat, thinking I'm shark chow." The others laughed, picturing Jake flailing like a cartoon character, but Tim didn't crack a smile. His stomach tightened. Sharks? Fine. He'd seen plenty. Curious ones, lazy ones, even big ones cruising by. No big deal. But the idea of one snatching his mask? That hit was different. That was personal. They geared up for the next dive anyway. Tim adjusted his mask straps one last time, muttering to himself, "Not today, ocean, not today." Down they went, gliding into the blue, bubbles trailing behind. The reef was alive. Fish darting in flashes of color, sea fans swaying like slow-motion dancers. Tim settled into the rhythm, kicking along, eyes sharp behind his precious goggles. For a while it was peaceful. Then he saw it. A shadow, long and sleek, cutting through the water. An 11-foot shark, probably a reef shark, maybe a bull. Hard to tell at first, moving with that eerie, effortless glide they have. Tim froze, hovering mid-water, watching. Sharks were curious, he knew that. They'd swim up, give you a nudge with their shoulder, maybe a little love tap, then peel off at the last second. No harm, no foul. He'd seen it before. But this one wasn't playing by the script. It was coming straight at him, dead on, no veering, no hesitation. Its eyes, black and unblinking, locked on him like he was the only thing in the ocean worth checking out. Tim's heart kicked into overdrive, but he didn't panic. Not yet. He held still, arms loose, legs barely kicking, just a guy floating casually, while an 11-foot freight train of muscle and teeth closed the gap. His mind, though, racing. It's fine. It'll turn. They always turn. Except it wasn't turning. 50 feet became 20, then 10, and Tim could see the scars on its snout, the flecks of its gills. His mask, his stupid, fragile mask, was all he could think about. If that thing hit him, it'd be Jake's story all over again, only worse. He'd be blind, contacts floating away, stuck underwater with no way to see the next attack. Nope, not happening. The shark was 5 feet out now, a missile with fins, and Tim's calm cracked. He had to move. The plan was simple. Duck under it, let it sail overhead, keep the mask safe. He tensed, waiting for the perfect moment. 3 feet, 2 feet now. He jerked down, aiming to slip beneath its belly. Only he misjudged. Badly. Instead of gliding under, his head snapped forward, and crack, he slammed his skull straight into the shark's nose. For a split-second, time stopped. The shark jolted, its whole body twitching like it had hit a wall. Tim reeled back, mask still on, head throbbing, contacts miraculously intact. The shark didn't stick around to figure out what just happened. It veered hard, tail flicking, and bolted into the blue. Tim floated there, stunned, blinking through his goggles as his brain caught up. Did I just headbutt a shark? Then the laughter started. Bubbles erupted around him as his friends, who'd seen the whole thing from a few yards off, lost their minds. Jake was doubled over underwater, clutching his stomach, regulator nearly falling out. Sarah was pounding her fist into the sand, sending up clouds of silt. Even quiet Mike, who never cracked a smile, was shaking with silent giggles. Tim surfaced first, ripping off his mask, carefully, of course, and sucking in air, half laughing, half groaning. "What the hell was that?" Jake sputtered as he broke the surface, tears in his eyes. "You headbutted an 11-foot shark, man. You're a legend." Back on the boat, the story grew legs. Tim, the shark whisperer, they called him, passing around beers and reenacting the scene with exaggerated head swings. "Should have seen its face," Sarah said. "Like, who's this lunatic?" Tim just rubbed his forehead, where a faint bruise was forming, and grinned. He didn't care about the legend part. He cared that his mask was still in one piece, his contacts safe. The shark could have had his arm for all he cared, just not his goggles. By nightfall, they were still laughing, plotting how to tell the tale back home. Tim leaned back, staring at the stars, replaying it in his head. He might have been the only guy alive to headbutt an 11-foot shark and live to brag about it, all because he'd rather take on a sea monster than lose his vision underwater. And yeah,